All right. Well, let's get into our teaching tonight. I'm excited to talk to you guys about feeding bees in the fall. A lot of questions surround feeding bees in the fall. So I'm going to hit on the topics that best answer your questions. Okay. So some of these that I want to hit on tonight, it's about mistakes or wrong ways to feed bees in the fall. And there are several wrong ways to do it, and they're catastrophic if you try it. So pay attention to that. A lot of you ask about timing. When do I start? How long do I start? A lot of you ask about how long or when can I do liquid? When do I shift over to hard candy or fondant, like a Winter Be Kind? Others are concerned about temperatures. At what temperature can I keep doing this? When do I have to stop at what temperature? And then a lot of you struggle with what kind of feeder to use. I talked to a gentleman today that's struggling with robbing, and he's using, I think, a lay-ins hive. So he was struggling with a feeder that would work on a layings hive and robber screen that would work on a lay-ins hive and all that. Not a typical way to do it sometimes if you look at a Langstroth hive. And then why fall feeding is so essential. Please, I want you to grasp this. And I hope tonight I can explain it in such a way, like I tried to do in a video the other day. I want to try to explain it so you really understand why fall feeding is so essential and why our traditional method doesn't cut it in my book. And then incorrect hive assessment is part of that as well. So let's jump right into it tonight. Let's get started. Beekeepers sometimes incorrectly assess colonies' preparedness for winter. And so a lot of beekeepers will look at their hive now and they'll see a lot of adult bees. They'll see maybe a lot of foraging. If you still have some nectar sources where you live, we've had nectar from goldenrod that's playing out pretty quick now. But before it did, you could see a lot of bees in the hive, and maybe a lot of brood being raised, and just a lot of activity. And you might look at that and go, oh boy, population wise, my bees are ready for winter. And what I try to keep telling beekeepers is that's not the correct assessment, because most of those bees that you see flying in and out, if not all of them, are going to be dead by Christmas, before winter. So we look at populations, we want a big population of bees, right? Adult bees, and we think, okay, good. So beekeepers basically only do two things to think, do they have enough bees in there for winter, and do they have enough honey in there? That's what people tell me. I've done this for almost 30 years. I answer thousands of questions a month, and that's what the questions are. I've got a super, it's got 7 out of 10 frames filled capped honey. Is that enough to get my bees through winter? My population looks good. But that is not really the way that you evaluate if your hive's going to make it through winter. To be honest with you, I think that's why we are seeing a lot more bees dying in the hands of beekeepers in the fall and the winter time because of this misunderstanding. So I want to clarify this, okay? So think about it this way. The adult bees that you see, most of them will be dead before the first day of winter. The bees that you see in October, they don't live long. They're still either fully summer bees or partially summer / winter bees, but they're not going to live long at all. And so they die quickly. Now, the other thing to remember, a summer bee only lives 45 days. A diutinous or winter bee lives about 4 to 8 months. Stored honey for winter is what bees do. Okay, we all know that. That's what they do in climates where bees enjoy a lot of flowers and a lot of warm weather. Well, a lot of us don't live in these nice, warm, year-round warm climates. So our bees have to be confined into their boxes. Like here in Illinois, we've got some decent weather coming up for the next couple of months. But here's the bad thing. We're going to get a frost any day now. And when that frost hits, it will kill any resource that bees could have gone to, which really isn't nothing now. First, I'm concerned there's nothing out there anymore. A little bit of aster, a little bit of goldenrod still hanging out, but it's mostly done. There's nothing else. There's nothing for bees, zero. Okay. And so what we have to worry about is that these bees are going to probably eat through all of their stored resources in the next 3 months. They've got all of October, all of November, and all of December before winter comes, the first day of winter. And that's sad. I mean, they're going to have to sit there and eat their stores for 3 solid months. Well, most of us know that if we put 70 pounds or more on there, that they won't eat all that, and that 70 pounds might get them through the winter if it's not terribly cold and long, right? Here's the catch, though. We're still not thinking right. What we need to remember is we need heaters in the hive. You need heaters in your home. If you live in the north, you need heaters. That's what bees need. And the only heaters that bees have are bees. So you need bees of winter physiology. So right now, you need to be thinking about how in the world do I get my bees to raise an enormous amount of bees that live 4 to 8 months. Friends, I'm telling you, that really is, I'm pumped and excited because that really works. Everybody agrees to that. Nobody will disagree. You need bees that can live long in the wintertime. Bees instinctively do that. That's how Mother Nature has made bees to survive the winter. The only catch is if you can't feed bees in the fall or the nectar ends too quickly and they eat all their foods up and they just don't have the way to have the nurse bees to charge up their hypopharyngeal glands, they can't produce royal jelly to take care of what the queen is doing. You might have a good laying queen. They'll cannibalize the eggs and larvae because they're starved. But if you feed them, they will nurse these winter bees as they develop into larvae. They will nurse them into strong adult bees that you'll see in the springtime. Gosh, this is how you get bees through the winter. It's simple. So here's some mistakes, though. Still, I know some of you know these things. Remember, be patient. There are a lot of people coming into beekeeping. Even though you know it now, maybe some of you know these things. Remember, a lot of people don't know this. They're brand new or they're starting next year. First time for some people to hear these things, reinforcing for all the rest of you that know it. Don't feed an entrance feeder. Don't use an entrance feeder in the fall. You see on the front of that hive, that little glass jar, that's a Boardman feeder created by Mr. Boardman, and it's an entrance feeder that slides in there. And it's really bad to use that in the fall. Now, this is funny because when I started beekeeping a million years ago, I didn't know it was bad to use it in the fall, and I did use it in the fall. And sometimes bad things happen, so don't use that in the fall because it's a major cause of fall robbing, because bees will smell that sugar water in the entrance, and they will just help themselves to go right in from other colonies, right into your hive and steal the honey out of it. So you don't want that sugar water on the outside of your hive, anywhere near your hive in the fall. Also, it gets pretty cold on cold fall nights. The bees have to essentially go outside the hive. They have to go through a little canal in underneath where the jar is. So they are inches away from the warmth of the hive on a cold fall night. And so they don't like to do that. Plus the sugar water gets cold at night too. They don't drink it very fast if it gets below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, because indeed it's outside the hive. Now there's other kind of feeders that you probably are aware of. The one on the right is a frame feeder. It takes the place of 1 or 2 frames. Some people buy them like the one pictured with nothing in the middle. Bees will drown in that. You need to buy those that have a wood block across there and little ladders and little holes to keep bees from drowning. Here's the deal with frame feeders, though. They're labor intense. My gosh, you've got to open your hive up. You got to take honey supers off to get down into the deep and get into that and refill it every time. They're going to go through that in a couple of days. So you're going to be taking your hive apart every couple of days. Another way that is common, these are not all the ways, but it's a common way. Another common way is to use this reservoir feeder in the middle. Do you see that? I used to play around with those until I gave it up because they're made out of plastic. And the one that I had after a couple of years use cracked while it was on the hive, drowning all the bees in the hive. It just is, I think it held 2 gallons. 2 gallons just, went right onto the bees and killed, I'd say, most of the bees. So that wasn't good. So the one that we use that I recommend is my feeder that many of you have purchased. That's the feeder there on the right. I think I said right earlier, but that's the feeder on the right there with the 2 holes. And then it's a place for your pollen patty right there. If you still use pollen patties, they're screened off. You can keep bees below these screens. You can feed them with your jars on top. So the sugar stays warm from the cluster heat and fall days until you get so cold where you put the winter be kind boards on. So here, let's talk about a fall feeding strategy. Let's talk about the timing, because I know a lot of you wonder about the timing. And right now, the dearth has started for me here in central Illinois. Some of you think I live, someone told me, somebody thought I lived in Iowa. Nope, don't live in Iowa. Somebody thought I lived in Georgia. Nope, don't live in Georgia. I live in Illinois. I've lived here over 20 years, so I've not moved or anything. People are shocked to find out, oh, I didn't know you lived in Illinois. Live in Illinois, always have. And so that's that. So anyway, here in Illinois, our dearth has started. And so I can start feeding my bees right away or anywhere up to about 2 weeks. I don't like to wait more than 2 weeks after the dearth starts, because then it's going to be hard for me to raise enough bees of winter physiology. But it is amazing when you start feeding bees. And here's the deal, 1-to-1. Now, when all the books you pick up, not all, but many of the books you pick up are going to say you should feed 2-to-1, 2 parts sugar, 1 part water in the fall. And what they're trying to get you to do is build up stored honey, stored resources for your bees in the winter. I feed my bees my winter be kind. I don't need to do that. So I focus on bees. I focus on raising winter bees. What's going to get my hives through the winter? It's not me wrapping them. It's not me, finding a special wind block. It's not me doing all these external things. It's me helping the bees do what they want to do internally. They want to put heaters in there. They want heaters. Help your bees have heaters in there, heater bees. And you do that by long-lived winter bees by feeding 1-to-1 sugar water that simulates a spring flow, a thin sugar mix with additives like especially protein in there. That's what's going to cause your hive to continue to make brood. And you want them to have lots of brood that emerges right now, because those are the bees you see in the spring. Come on, let's think about that, please. If you haven't done that yet, haven't wrapped your head around this, don't feel like this is something you're kind of scared to try. You know that bees build up in the spring off of real thin nectar that's 80 to 90% water. They will do the same thing in the fall for you. They have protein in the nectar and the pollen that they get the nectar in the spring. That's all we're doing now. We're just trying to simulate what happens in the spring to help them keep raising a lot of winter bees. Wow, that works so good. So let's talk about the temperatures. A lot of you might be confused about, well, what do I do and when do I do it? What temperatures and all that. Now, this is a ballpark figure. Beekeeping is not like cookbook science. You don't have to be exact on this. You don't have to freak out if it's 49 degrees. David said 50, but it's 49. Oh my gosh, what do I do? No, don't get that specific. That doesn't work that way. But this is a ballpark. So when it gets 50 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, like right now, since it is, and this is daytime temperatures, you hear me? This is the high temperature in the daytime. Does it get to 50 degrees or higher? If it does, I'm feeding my bees liquid from my top feeder boards. And that's how I do it. I'm going to keep feeding them liquid, even though it drops down to 48 or 40 at night. Even if it dropped down to freezing, that sugar water won't freeze because it's above the hive and it has a sugar mixture in it. So I'm just going to leave it on there because I know the next day it's going to get to be 57, maybe, hypothetically, may get to 57 degrees Fahrenheit. Going to keep feeding them if the daytime temperature is above 50. Now, when I see that for good, my temperature in the daytime is not going to get above 50 Fahrenheit anymore. It's wintertime. It's cold. I'm going to have to take my liquid off. Bees aren't going to eat it. They're going to be clustering more. I got to put my Winter Be Kind boards, the harder candy with the same additives in it to keep building bees with winter physiology. I'm going to lay that on there when the daytime temperature is not getting above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. I think I've made that clear. People really ask me a lot about that. So really it boils down to all of us taking the initiative. I should have checked that QR code. I hope it goes to the feeder board. I don't know where it goes to, but that's the feeder board that I created. Then you can see here, you put a deep box or a medium super around it to protect it with a lid, a top cover. But it gives you the chance to either use a pollen patty in addition to your feeder jars that are have a screen that separates you from the bees. So you can change them out real easy, prevents robbing because they're secluded up and away from the entrances, the openings of the hive. So really think about how you can get a lot of bees in your hive. Don't be afraid to raise a big colony now that it's fall. Let's get some bees in there that have some strong tendencies to live 4 to 8 months, because those are the bees that are going to help your hives get through the winter. Now, let me just put some caveats to that. You're really not going to have much success probably feeding your bees if your colony is infected with one or several viruses like deformed wing virus, other viruses that bees get from the mites. If your bees are already sick, maybe you have parasitic mite syndrome, you don't know it. Maybe your bees have a lot of viruses. They're sick. You don't see it because it seems like they're being active, but you don't know that your mite levels are so high that your bees have become sickened, and you wonder why your bees died in the wintertime. So you always need to make sure before you do all of the things I've just shared with you, it works best if you have very healthy bees that are free, for the most part, of viruses spread by Varroa destructor. That's the key part of it right there. All right. I want to just, again, welcome all of you that are in the live stream tonight, and we're about to get into our question time. Please take a moment now to give a thumbs up and let me know that you like the live stream. Always an opportunity here to subscribe on the live stream as well to my video channel, but it helps a lot if you'll give me a thumbs up. Take a moment right now, hit that like button, hit the thumbs up right now before we get into some question time. Now, when you leave your questions, try to leave them very concise. Try to make it very simple for me to understand what in the world you're talking about. If you are asking me a question about doing something, please tell me where in the planet that you live, because I know you might think I know where you live because you know me. You know David Burns, but I don't know you that well. I don't know where you live. I may be in your living room right now or on your phone, but I can't see you and I don't see where you live. So if you're going to ask me a question about certain things going on in your hive, it really helps me answer it. Just briefly tell me what state you're in. You don't have to give your address. Please don't do that. But let me know where you live, and keep your question where it's understandable. All right, let me dive into a question time. Let's see what is on your mind. Let's see how I can help you guys tonight. Well, good evening, Danny. Good to have you here. I have 2 deeps on my hive. The top deep box is completely full of honey. Should I add a super this late in the year? Boy, Danny, don't know where you live. I don't think it's going to work very well to add a super and try to get that pulled out. I mean, hey, try it. You can put it on there, try it. If you've got drawn out foundation and you feed them and you designate that super to have sugar water in it just to help the bees, that's going to be your best bet. Absolutely. David, I started feeding 1-to-1 on September 1st as we were in a dearth. Now the goldenrod has bloomed heavily here in Eastern Tennessee. Yeah, that must have been a gap after your clover stopped. It happens to me the same way. Should I keep feeding them or wait till the bloom is over and then start again? I would stop feeding them. I really would. Let bees go out, force them to go out, fly, do what bees do. Hey, thank you for your donation tonight, for your super sticker. All of you are donating. I appreciate that. You help the live stream so much by your donations. Hey, Larry, I'll be using the winter bee kinds on my hives. I usually add extra top insulation, R28 value. That's significant. Under the outer cover. Will this create any problems for the winter bee kind? Nope, won't hurt a thing. It'll be fine. It sounds like it's going to be on the outside of the winter bee kind. Hey, Danny, thanks for your super sticker tonight. Danny, appreciate it, buddy. Very nice of you. All right. What other questions do we have tonight for me? All right. Hi, David. Are bees able to learn behaviors? Absolutely. They do learn all types of behaviors. Yeah, they protect their hive. The more you agitate them, if you were a bear agitating the hive, they would try to sting you. They have learned behavior. They're in the animal kingdom, so they have these abilities to learn behaviors, right? Mary Ann Livingston, nice to see you. Thanks for your donation. I've heard you talk about faking a dearth in the past to build up diutinous bees. I seem to recall not feeding for 2 weeks when natural dearth starts. Am I not remembering correctly? Mary Ann, that's right. The 2 weeks period is something that I came up with as a strategy. I don't have any scientific backing behind that. But to me, when I think about, we don't really know what triggers bees to start producing a lot of diutinous bees. We don't know whether it's a daylight, lack of daylight, whether it's a dearth, whatever. But anyway, I'm feeling that if you can hold off a week or two when the dearth starts and then start feeding them, then the bees it might trigger them to start utilizing your feed to raise diutinous winter bees. However, I don't think it really makes a great big difference. I think if you started at the very onset of a dearth feeding them, I think they will continue to raise bees that are going to be your winter bees. I think they're doing that now anyway. So it just kind of is a way to me to support the triggering of them raising winter bees. Yeah. I have 2 Lands horizontal hives. I have one. It's done really well the last couple of years. I will need to merge them this week. Okay. What's the best method? Checkerboard, shake them in, or use newspaper in between the 2 colonies to start? I would say I wouldn't checkerboard just right out of the bat like that this late in the year. I wouldn't shake them in there. I would use a newspaper. If I'm not sure, I'm trying to picture if I had 2 Lands hive, how I would do it. I would put a follower board in the middle at the end. Hey, thanks, Mark Spangler. Good to see you, Mark. Thanks for your donation. I would put a follower board that can separate 2 compartments, and I would move one hive into the other that, I'd take one queen out, the worst queen. And I might modify my follower board by cutting a hole in it and where I can staple some newspaper on it. I mean, Lands hives are horizontal, right? So you can't do your traditional Langstroth vertical hive newspaper trick. So figure out a way that you can do it with your newspaper. That'll work. Yep. How many times should I check on my bees in the fall? Yeah, that's a very good question. And that's going to be kind of dependent upon a lot of scenarios. You got to, first of all, let's establish the temperature. It might get cool for you in the fall. So your daytime temperature has to be above 65 degrees Fahrenheit, or you could chill brood and kill it. So make sure the temperature is good. You could also induce robbing if you hold it open too long. So you want to start reducing your inspections. You want to make sure you have low mite counts already. You probably established that by your treatments. And you want to make sure you got good brood, like we're looking into that now. So you're going to start reducing the amount of time that you're going to look into a hive that's in great shape. Maro, thank you for your donation tonight. Hi, George. Why would bees abscond this time of the year? Or it doesn't matter what time of the year it is? That's correct. It doesn't. Bees abscond, by the way, those of you not familiar with that word, it's when all the bees leave the colony. Everybody's gone. It's not a swarm. Swarm is when half leaves with the old queen. There is a new queen. Absconding is when everybody leaves. It's not uncommon to see bees abscond in the fall. They're looking for better land, I guess, and they just take off for a better home. It's weird, isn't it? Yeah. Hey, Ross, thanks for your donation tonight. So many opinions on winter hive configuration. University of Minnesota recommends 3 deeps, and I live in Wisconsin. In your opinion, what's the danger of leaving too many boxes on, assuming they are all full? Well, I've not read that from the University of Minnesota, but for me in Illinois, 3 deeps is a bit too much space, right? I mean, they're only going to generate so much heat. They can't, let's be extreme, bees can't heat the world. One hive cannot heat the whole world, right? They can't even heat my house. They couldn't heat the room I'm in. So the more tight that their living quarters is, the better they can stay warm. They don't really heat their hive anyway, but they're going to cluster together. They're going to cluster. So I think, let's see, 3 deeps. I like maybe Minnesota would do well to have 2 brood chamber boxes and 1 honey box that's a deep. Maybe that would be the best scenario way up north. Yeah. Hello, Kevin. First year beekeeper. Well, congratulations. I hope your first year went really well for you. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have fun. Listen, got to be fun. Got to be fun. Really, beekeeping is fun. I'm using your top feeder board, feeding 1-to-1 with your recommended additives. I plan on using your winter bee kind boards. Do you recommend wrapping the hive? Let's see, you didn't tell me where you lived. I would say, Kevin, wrapping is not going to really hurt your bees unless you have a lot of warm weather in, a winter month. Maybe you have 2 or 3 days of really warm weather. Sometimes that insulation will prevent the sun from warming up the bees so they can move around. It kind of keeps the hot sun out. So I will go out there. If I do wrap my hives, I'll go out there and take that off on warmer spells, but I would try it. See what you think. Thank you, John, for your donation tonight. I'm probably going to wrap more hives this year than I did last year, because it sounds like to me, I listened to Ryan Hall, y'all, the weather guy, and Max Velocity, the weather guy. I watched them on YouTube. Both of them are reading all the data, and they're looking like they're both saying that it's going to be a whopper where I live, cold and snowy. So wrapping is not going to hurt my bees at all. What's the coolest temp in which you can open a hive? I just mentioned that a few minutes ago. Maybe you just dropped in. 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, listen, you can open a hive when it's really cold. I open my hive to change my winter bee kind boards, and it doesn't matter what the temperature is. It can be 0, makes no difference. I'll change it out. Only takes me 30 seconds to swap the food out. But if you're going to pull a frame up out of the hive and expose capped brood, they're very sensitive to cold weather. They need to be kept 92, and they are in the hive. So when you pull a frame up into any temperature that's below 65 degrees Fahrenheit, you're going to hurt the brood. I hope I explained that. Tom, how are you? Can a resource hive make it through Pennsylvania winter, or must it be merged with another colony? It all depends. I assume, are you talking about a 5-frame resource hive? Many people get, little hives through the winter. I wouldn't try it. I need more bees and resources than that. I've done it before, but I don't like it. I don't come out of winter with a very big colony. And a little bitty resource hive takes a lot of work in the spring to get going. So I don't like that. Thank you, Marlis, for your super sticker tonight. I appreciate that. If you don't want to donate tonight, you can always go to honeybeesonline.com, make a donation from our website as well, if you don't want to leave a donation here. The donations go to help support the live stream. We have guest speakers that we pay when they're here with us, and we have giveaways as well. All right, Chase, how are you tonight? I'm using the cover of a storage container for community feeder. I think I've done that too, with sticks on the top. I've noticed a lot of dead bees from falling into the sugar water. Any recommendations? Yeah, you're going to have to, it's best if you can make less exposed sugar water. So they need a lot of places to stand. Otherwise, they're going to stand on each other. If you've got some open sugar water bigger than your hand or something, they'll just pile in there and drown each other. So find a better way to keep the bees standing on top of something. Hello, Wayne. Thanks for your donation tonight for the live stream. Appreciate that so much. Yep. Well, there's Tom. Hey, Tom, good to see you. Thanks for your donation tonight to the live stream. Thanks for your help with life and beekeeping. Shout out to my assistant beekeeper, my son Fritz, who made it to San Diego last week, here where he's now assigned to a USN aircraft carrier. By the way, I'm now hiring. Haha, go Navy. Yeah, that's right. I know your son was helping you out in the bee yard. And boy, you missed that, the young blood. I know what that's like. All 6 of my children have helped me from time to time raising them in the bee yard. And as they got older and moved away, it's all me now. Hi, David. I'm David, a first-year beekeeper with 10 hives. Well, you jumped right into it, David, starting out with 10 hives. Can bees go through a natural brood break? Or is my hive in trouble? Double deep, only 2 frame, cap brood, 1 frames, 1 larva, 6 empty frame. Yeah, something's wrong there, David. They usually do not go through a natural brood break unless there's not available nectar. Feed them, see if that'll spark some brood going on. But it's important to realize they'll go through a brood break if it's hot, if it's really cold, something like that, but it's not if all conditions are normal. Thank you, Mark, for your donation. Appreciate that. I thought that bees coming out of winter will resort to taking on nurse bee duties before the spring buildup. Yeah, that's right. They do. That's why we want a lot of bees in there, because these diutinous bees, they can do that. They can continue to do things. They're not so much under the age polytheism that summer bees are. They're kind of in a different physiology in the wintertime, and they can certainly take over tasks that's beyond their age. That's why we want them. That's right. Hi, Todd. Thanks for your super sticker tonight. Appreciate it. A couple of more questions and we'll do spin the wheel. See if we have a giveaway coming up. Hi, Jim. When is fall? Date, temperature, condition of the hive. There's a lot of debate. I know sometimes when I talk about, first day of fall, first day of summer, people don't, they have all different opinions about that. I go by the calendar year, fall happens in September the 21st, whatever. But the actual, you can't go by the calendar when it comes to bees. You have to go by the weather. It can be a cold fall for me, or it can be a very warm or even a hot fall. So far, it's been kind of hot. We've been up in the 90s a few days last week. Thank you, Kathy, for your donation. So it's been hot. So yeah, you don't go by the calendar. It's not really that you have to think about all these things, what climate what the calendar says, but what do your bees say and what does the weather say right now? Beekeepers make really good weather people. We really watch our weather closely. One more question and then we'll have a spin the wheel. Hi, Danny, member for my YouTube channel for 3 months now. That's either a Beak Squad ambassador or a nectar novice. You can always join and become a member of my channel, my YouTube channel, at the right below the videos that I have, or even this one, you can see a join button. You really don't get anything, maybe an occasional private meeting with me and the group, but it's just your way of supporting the channel. Yeah. When you mention numbers of frames of brood, what do you mean? For example, 5 frames of brood means 5 full frames with both sides are 5 sides. Danny, I made a video last week where I actually went through a hive, all 20 brood chamber hives, 10 deep, 2 10 deep boxes, Watch that video. You will see what I'm talking about. All of you, if you haven't seen that video, go back and watch it. We actually go through we look at every side. Thank you, Kathy, for your super sticker. We go through every side, and that would be 40 sides. We looked at 40 sides. So yes, you can call it a frame, but it can be entirely different on the other side. So you have to evaluate every side of a frame. Does that make sense? Yeah. EL, thank you. Appreciate you being here tonight. Thanks for the super sticker. All right, let's do spin the wheel and see what happens tonight. We have some things on here. I've got a great shirt, a merchandise shirt that you guys can purchase. It's a fun shirt that Candy and Robbie had made up for us. Yeah, there it is. Look at that. I like that. David Burns, Beekeeping 101. You don't see a queen. Do you have a virgin queen? No eggs are present. No larvae present. Is your honey uncapped? Wait 10 days. And you hear me say that a lot. I had a hive that swarmed. I checked it the other day, and they have some queen cells that haven't emerged yet. I had to apply my own teaching. David, wait 10 days. Come back and see how it's at. So anyway, that's on the board a few times. You might win one of these shirts. Kind of cool to wear. You can win a private Zoom meeting with me. If it lands on personal, you can ask a personal question of any of us tonight. I don't think Sheri is here. Sheri is working the admin, but she's not able to be on the visual. But Robbie and Carrie and Jessica, if it lands on personal, we'll pick one of you that wants to ask them a personal question. Okay, let's give it a spin. If it lands on a Beak Squad sticker, then we have a giveaway. Let's see where it lands tonight. Oh, yeah. Oh, it landed on the shirt. All right. We're giving away the shirt tonight. Oh, that's cool. I have talked about the shirt, and there it was. So tonight, we'll set you up here what you're going to enter into the chat. I'll let Robbie pick out what the word would be tonight, and he'll post it there in a banner here in just a second. But, oh, there it is. Hashtag shirt. If you would like to win the shirt, and after you win it, be sure, and when you email us, you'll tell us your size, okay? So, yeah, you'll win the David Burns Beekeeping 101 shirt tonight. Just go to the chat. Please only put your name in the hat one time. It makes it really difficult for my admin, my team that's working the chat to get clogged up with excessive entries. So just one time with your name will work one time. Hashtag shirt is what you want to put in there to try to win the shirt tonight. That's cool. It's a cool shirt. I love it. And yeah, I think that when you think about the activities of this fall, there's a lot of things that all of us as beekeepers are excited about doing. Maybe some of you are still taking honey off. Maybe you're trying to get your bees built up for winter physiology, thinking about wrapping, lots to do, preventing robber screens. I mean, it's all hands on deck. I think probably fall to me is the hardest time of beekeeping. You're trying to get your mite levels down. I'm scared to death I'm going to lose a queen right now because, they're not going to raise one very good. May not be able to buy one, as the season gets later. And then there's robbing. There's all kind of things that can happen in the fall that really sets up your bees for failure. So it's a critical time of the year. The most nerve-wracking time for me is not swarm season. Swarm doesn't bother me. I can go out and catch a swarm and put them in a box, but fall is really kind of iffy. Wow. Try to get those bees ready for winter. Yikes. All right. Go to the comments, put in hashtag shirt, see who will win the shirt tonight. A lot of fun. Yeah. There you go. Hashtag shirt. I do like that shirt. All right, Robbie, let's do it. All right. You can see the names going by pretty quick there. I don't have the privilege of carefully watching the chat because Amanda, nice. You won the shirt. Amanda, please email us to the email scrolling by. We need your size and what color you want. So if you visit the website, you can see the color choices. So visit us at that website, but beaksquadwinner@gmail.com, Amanda. Send us an email. Let us know you won. Let us know where to ship it to and your size and color, and we'll get that sent out to you. That's really good. All right. I want to have one more giveaway because in lieu of what I'm teaching tonight, I want to give someone a chance tonight that doesn't already have this, a chance to win it. Okay. So what I'm going to do, if you already have one, you don't need one, please don't try to win it. Let's let somebody get it that needs it. But it is my feeder board that I created. There it is. And it has the lids that come with it. You see, all you need is a smallmouth jar, anything at home, or you can buy them at a store or something. And there you go. It has a place here for if you want to push a pollen patty in there. So we'll set this up. Hashtag feeder. No advantage to entering your name in more than once. So don't do that, please. Thank you. So this is your chance to win. Let us know if you need an 8 frame or a 10 frame. We make both sizes. So if you need an 8 frame or 10 frame, but this will be a big help for what I just taught on, feeding those bees in the wintertime, 1-to-1 with some additives in there too. Okay, hashtag feeder. You can win tonight. Absolutely. Yeah. Hi, Lisa. Thanks for your donation. Thanks, David and team, for all your help and guidance. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. While we're collecting hashtag feeders, let's go ahead and answer a couple of more questions. Well, I'll give all of you a chance to win the feeder tonight. I use an intercover feeder board with 1-to-1 sugar water with supplements. I've seen an influx of ants in the box where the jars sit. Is that a problem? Can I use a trap in the box for ants? I wouldn't really want to get any kind of chemical, like what is it, borax or something for ants. I don't know. Kind of don't like any treatments for like ants inside my hive. Try to see if you can stop them from coming into the hive by putting something, find out if there's a nest, is that what you call it? An ant nest, an ant hill near your hive or something. Try to knock that out. One more question. All right. We're having an extended stretch of hot, dry days. Boy, we are too. We are so dry. We live out in the country and the farmers are starting to harvest and the dust is incredible on everything. Good or bad for bees going into winter? I'd say good. They can fly and try to look for stuff. Yeah. Not opposed to that at all. All right. Hey, Rich, another great evening, David from David Burns Bee University. Thank you for all you do and your team do for us. Well, thank you. I really do appreciate that. We do work hard for the beekeeping community. We're here to help the typical beekeeper, the average beekeeper. So we're here to help you guys. All right. All right, Robbie, let's see who's going to win the feeder board tonight. Get those bees fed up good for winter. See if that doesn't make a big difference. You'll be surprised how much that helps so much and how much they'll eat. Yeah, got to be ready to buy some sugar. It's not cheap anymore, but it's cheaper than buying a new set of bees. All right, here we go. Let's see who will win tonight. All right, slowing down a little bit. Brian Perry. There you go, Brian. I've seen your name on YouTube comments a lot. So, Brian, thank you. You're the winner tonight of the feeder board. Let us know if you need an 8 frame or a 10 frame when you email us, beaksquadwinner@gmail.com. And by all means, let us know within 24 hours or we will forget all about it and forget you won. So try to get on that as soon as you can. Congratulations, Brian. Again, if a lot of you are interested in getting that feeder board, you can always go to our website at honeybeesonline.com. All right, let's take some more questions as the clock is getting closer to the 8 o'clock hour. Thank you all for being here, by the way. Big crowd tonight. Appreciate it. Always great to see so many familiar faces, new people that are here, and love it that a lot of you let your children come and be a part of this and learn too. So I respect that. In Nebraska, and my 5 hives are going through 10 gallons of 1-to-1 sugar water every week. Do I keep feeding them this much or can I slow them down to save some cash? They are hungry. I know it. They are hungry. Slow down a little bit. Save the cash. I understand. Slow down. If you slow it down a little bit, it's still going to help them. I understand. Don't go broke trying to keep your bees fed. Don't go hungry trying to keep your bees fed. Hey, Steve, if I installed a winter bee kind and the bees depleted, I will need to replenish the board. How many days can I go without the feeder on the hive, northern Michigan? Steve, in my experience, not many, because the technique is to help them raise a lot of bees of winter physiology, even in the wintertime. So they're feeding larvae, they're raising brood in there. So you got to stay on it. I wouldn't go more than a week without food on there, because that may be all they have sometimes. Thank you, Dan, for your donation tonight. Appreciate it. Do all zones get diutinous bees, or is it relative to temperature? Yeah, we really don't know what causes it, but it's not the temperature, because in some places where there's a flower dearth, that it's just like a desert or something, there's diutinous bees that will go through that dearth in a desert until the flowers bloom again. Thank you, Jake. I appreciate your super sticker tonight. Awesome. Hi, Christine. Could I use the liquid feeder with your top board feeder all winter if I use wood chips in a pillowcase for insulation around the jars? I don't know. I don't like the idea of too much liquid feed in the wintertime. Thanks, Carmen, for your donation. I think it might make it a little bit too wet in there. Screened or solid bottom board for the winter, Paris, Tennessee. Let's see, here we go. 51% of me says solid and 49% says screen. Does that equal 50? D. Friedman, $5 donation. Thank you. I appreciate that donation tonight. One more question for tonight. Last one, Sheri. Is the activity in front of the entrance most likely orientation, aside from obvious foragers coming and going? Yeah, Sheri, the way to tell, if they're swarming, they're flying away and they're not looking back. They fly out of the hive, they leave. Thank you, Mike, for being a member of my channel for 6 months. But if you look at them and they're taking that orientation flight, you'll see them flying around the hive, which could be confused with the robbers, but you'll see them kind of facing the entrance. They're measuring, they're getting kind of a mental image of a visual image where the hive is, what the hive looks like. So that when they go 3 miles away, they'll be able to come right back to that particular hive. And yeah, that's right. I guess we have time for one more question. All right, we'll take one more final question. Who's going to get the last question? David, do you have any input on the proposed new mite treatment, Vatiscana? That's Nora. It sounds like it may be a new treatment that stops reproduction of the mites. Yeah, that's double-stranded RNA interference is what you're talking about, and it has been approved. And I have interviewed the two gentlemen that have spearheaded the project and got a lot of information on them. I may show that in a future interview. It does show promises. I think it's not the only tool, but it is another tool in the toolbox of controlling mites. And yeah, double-stranded RNA interference. It does silence genes that will stop mites from reproducing. That's right. That's the goal. Yeah. Thank you, Carol, for being a member of my YouTube channel. Well, everybody, I want to thank you so much for a great evening. Hot dog, it's been great. I appreciate all of you so much. We've had so much fun tonight. And just a reminder that next week, I'm going to be doing my live stream live from Springfield, Illinois at a bee conference there. I think it's a local club. But if all goes well, I'll be live streaming from that location with you guys. So I'm looking forward to that. So make note of that. Be here to see a little something different next week. Gonna be fun. So appreciate it. Well, I know that you guys all have different things that you're dealing with, some good, some bad. And some of you are struggling with problems. Some of you are happy about the way things are going. Life never ceases to be a struggle. Okay. It's a struggle for all of us. Some of us look happier than others, but all of us go through the same things. We're like a big colony of honeybees. We need to help each other. We need to be kind to each other. We need to love each other, support each other. So please do the best you can to really help out all of those around you all the time. Okay. I think that's really important. But I want you to know that I love you. I appreciate you. And I've got your back here. I'm doing everything I can to help you have a great beekeeping experience. Good night. I'll see you in the next video.